Welcome to episode 1 in our series on Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto's The Path of the Just. And we're about to begin chapter 1. Last episode we started with the author's introduction, and now we're going to get right into it. And in this chapter, the Ramchal, as his name is abbreviated, will first of all define, when you are serving God, what should be one's duties or one's goal. So, Ramchal begins. The bedrock of piety and the root of flawless divine service lies in man's efforts to clarify and verify what his duty is in this world. He must determine what he is aiming for and how to achieve this in all his labours throughout his lifetime. So I just want to stop there for a second and draw the comparison between the opening words of this book, the bedrock or the foundation, or in Hebrew, Yesod HaYesodot. Where did we hear that before? We've heard that at the beginning, the very beginning of Rambam's Mishnah Torah, Hilchot Yesodei HaTorah. And it's almost like he's perhaps comparing this work to halakha, learning the philosophy and rectification of one's soul and improvement of one's character is halakha. Perhaps he's trying to bring this comparison. Now the Ramchal is going to continue to describe how man was created in order to live in God's divine presence and strive for that achievement. So Ramchal continues. Our sages of blessed memory have instructed us that man was created for the sole purpose of reveling in the eternal and delighting in the splendour of the divine presence, this being the ultimate joy and the greatest of all pleasures in existence. And the true place for this pleasure is the world to come, which was created with this purpose in mind. Now the Ramchal is going to describe how we can get there and what the mechanism is on this world to achieve such a gain. And he describes the mitzvot as this, the means to bring us to that goal. So the Ramchal continues. However, the path that helps us reach our desired objective is this world, as our sages of blessed memory have said, and he quotes from Pirkei Avos chapter 4 verse 16. This world resembles a corridor before the world to come. The means that lead man to this goal are the mitzvot that the Eternal, may his name be blessed, commanded us to observe, and the place for doing the mitzvot is in this world alone. Therefore, man was first placed in this world. Through these means, provided for him here, he will be able to reach the destination that has been prepared for him, the world to come, where he will fill himself with the goodness that he has acquired through these means, as our sages of blessed memory have said about mitzvot. And he quotes from Eruvin 22a, "You do them today and receive their reward tomorrow." If you delve further into this matter, you will realize that cleaving to the Eternal alone is absolute perfection, as David HaMelech said in Tehillim or Psalms 73:28. But as for me, closeness to the Eternal is my good. And he also quotes from Psalms 27 verse 4. One thing I have asked of the Eternal, that will I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Eternal all the days of my life. This alone is what is good, and anything else that is perceived by people to be good is only emptiness and deceptive worthlessness. For a person to be entitled to this good, it is only appropriate that he first labour and make the efforts to acquire it. This means that he must try to cleave to the Blessed One through deeds that will lead to this goal. These deeds are the mitzvot. Yet the Holy One, blessed be He, has placed man in circumstances where many factors can distance him from the Blessed One, these being the bodily desires. For if one is drawn towards them, he is progressively distances himself from the ultimate good. The result is that one really finds himself planted in the midst of a fierce battle, for everything in this world, whether for good or bad, is there to test man. Poverty on the one hand, wealth on the other. This is similar to what King Shlomo said in Proverbs 30 verse 9, lest I become satiated and deny him, saying, who is the Eternal? And lest I become impoverished and steal and misuse the name of my God. Tranquility on one side and suffering on the other. A person thereby finds himself at war, both in front of him and in the rear. So we say in Ma'ariv, we ask God to remove the Satan from before us, in front of us, and from behind us. And I think this is a very important statement that the Ramchal has drawn us to, that there are good and bad can be perceived as sort of enemies in some sort of sense. If we are indeed in this battle where we have to keep things at bay, and we have to keep to the middle path as we are told, it's true that you can become too wealthy and suddenly say, you know what, I did this for myself, let me enjoy myself, let me enjoy my days here, and you start to ignore your kind of spirituality. And the other side, if you become too you become poor, you may turn to illegitimate means of perhaps gaining wealth. And Ramchal continues, if he is valiant and wins a total victory in this war, he will have perfected himself and will be able to cleave to his Creator. He will then leave the corridor and enter the palace, permeated with the glow of life. And to the degree that he has conquered his evil inclination and desires, and withdrawn himself from those factors that distance him from what is good, and has striven to cleave to him, to that extent he will attain his goal and find joy within it. If you will delve deeper into this matter, you will note that the world was created to serve man. However, the world itself stands in the balance. If a person is drawn towards the world and distances himself from the Creator, he will be corrupted and will corrupt the world with him. Yet, if he can rule over himself and he cleaves to his Creator and uses this world solely to aid him in serving the Creator, he will be elevated and the world itself will be uplifted with him. For it is a tremendous step upward for all of creation when it serves the person who has perfected himself and has become sanctified with the sanctity of the Blessed One. It is similar to what our sages of blessed memory said about the light that the Holy One, blessed be He, concealed for the righteous. And he quotes from Chagiga 12a. And since the light saw that the Holy One, blessed be He, concealed it for the righteous, it rejoiced, as it says, and he quotes from Proverbs 13:9, the light of the righteous will rejoice. And regarding the stones from that place that Yaakov Avinu took and placed beneath his head, this is from Vayetze in the Bereshis, they said, and he quotes from Chulin 91b, Rabbi Yitzchak said that this teaches us that they gathered themselves into one spot, each one saying, let the tzaddik rest his head upon me. So this is very important, this previous statement regarding the person, if he uplifts himself, he brings the world. If he uses the world to sanctify himself through God, this is uplifting the world as well. This is using the world for a holy purpose, and it perhaps brings the world to a better place as well as himself. And he also, this is very important, this brings to mind environmental issues that I've done many previous series on, about ecology and how we have to look after the planet and we have to look after the earth, God's earth. We have to keep it in order. We mustn't, perhaps it's our degradation of our souls that has brought around this pollution in the planet. And also, just one interesting thing from Vayetze, he quoted about the stones all moving to one place. It's funny, but when I was studying for this, I gave a comparison in my mind to the actual placement of Eretz Yisrael. We know that Jacob, his name turned to Israel. If you think about it, if you look at the biology, or rather the kind of geology of the planet, it's said that Israel's landmass is actually at the center of all the earth. In other words, all the earth is joined together around Israel. The same thing happened beneath Jacob's head, which was Israel. They all moved and formed together into one land mass or one stone mass. It's quite an interesting comparison. And the Ramchal continues, it is with reference to this that our sages of blessed memory have commented in Midrash Kohelet 7:13. See the deeds of the Eternal. When the Holy One, blessed be He, created Adam, He took him on a tour of all the trees of Gan Eden and said to him, see how beautiful and praiseworthy my deeds are, and all that I have created for you. Take heed not to corrupt nor destroy my world. So a blatant environmental message directly from God to man. What more proof do you want that we have a responsibility to look after the planet, because as God said, that it's up to us. If we destroy it, it'll probably destroy us. And that we have to look after it. And then the Ramchal continues. In summation, a person was not created for his position in this world, but rather for his position in the world to come. However, through his position in this world, he acquires his place in the world to come, this being his ultimate goal. Therefore, you will find many passages from our sages of blessed memory that speak of this same comparison, of this world as the place and time for preparation, and the world to come as the place where one rests and consumes what has already been prepared, as they have stated in Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 4, verse 16. This world resembles a corridor. As I've written before, and he quotes again from Eruvin 22a, you do them today and receive their rewards tomorrow. And he also quotes from Avodah Zorah 3 Amud Aleph, he who toils on Erev Shabbos will eat on Shabbos. And also from Koheles Rabbah chapter 1 verse 15, this world is likened to dry land and the world to come as to the ocean. Passages on this theme abound. Therefore, you will surely understand that no intelligent person could believe that the purpose of man's creation relates to his position in this world. For what significance is there to man's life in this world? And is there anyone truly happy or at peace in this world? The days of our years amongst them are 70 years, and with strength 80 years, and at their apex they are filled with toil and anguish. That's from Psalms chapter 90 verse 10. How many different forms of anguish and sicknesses and pains and burdens there are, and after experiencing these there's death. 1 in 1,000 cannot be found for whom the world will abound with pleasures and true peacefulness. And even such a one, if he lives to be 100, he is as good as departed and gone from this world. So the Ramchal here is stressing that even if we live a good and wholesome and happy life, old age will make us feel like we're dead already. And in any event, a normal person's life is not like that. It's filled with anguish, ups and downs, sometimes many more downs than ups. And it seems like, is this what is the purpose of this experience in this world? And he goes on now to talk about the actual effect of the soul's place in this world. And the Ramchal continues, furthermore, if the purpose of man's creation was linked to this world, there would have been no need to provide him with a soul so venerable and so exalted that it overshadowed the angels themselves. And surely the soul does not derive any satisfaction from worldly pleasures. This is what they, of blessed memory, have taught us in Midrash Kohelet. And he quotes from chapter 6, verse 7, and even the soul will not be satisfied. This recalls a parable about an ordinary townsman who marries the king's daughter. Anything that he brings her from this world is of no significance to her, since she is the daughter of the king. And likewise, the soul, if one brings it all the delights of this world, these mean nothing to it. Why? Because the soul derives from above. And so did our rabbis of blessed memory say, and he again quotes from Ethics of Our Father, chapter 4, verse 22. Against your will you are created, and against your will you are born. For the soul has no love for this world at all, but rather despises it. And since this is the case, the blessed Creator would surely not have created something that conflicted with the soul's nature, and was repellent to it. Therefore, the creation of man is wholly linked to his place in the world to come. And for this purpose he was given this soul. He will serve the eternal for the soul's sake, and through it he will receive his reward at the appropriate place and time. In this manner, instead of his soul despising this world, it will love and desire it. This is self-evidence. So the Ramchal now goes on to talk about what is the mechanism and how do we grow spiritually. And he continues, once we know this, we will immediately understand the gravity of fulfilling the mitzvot and the value of the divine service placed in our hands. These are the means that will bring us to real perfection, for it cannot be attained without them. However, it is known that a goal can be achieved only to the degree that one consolidates all the means at one's disposal and that were utilized for its attainment. And in proportion to these efforts, the effects will be apparent. Even a minor change that occurs in the means will clearly affect the outcome when the time comes for realizing the goal that has brought them together, as I have already written. This is clear. Therefore, there is no doubt that meticulousness in mitzvot and the divine service must be as perfect as the precision of those who weigh gold or pearls and appreciate their value. For they, referring to the mitzvot and service of God, lead to absolute perfection and to eternal splendor that has no equal. From this we learn that the main purpose of man's existence in this world is solely to do mitzvot, to serve the eternal, and to overcome tribulations. The pleasures of this world are only meant to aid and assist him and to give him contentment and peace of mind, thereby allowing him to turn his heart towards that service that is his responsibility. It is, of course, appropriate that all one's attention should be directed to the Creator, blessed be He, and in all his actions he should have no other purpose, lesser or greater, than to bring himself closer to the Creator. May His name be blessed. He should break through all the barriers that separate him from his Master. This means overcoming all the material elements and whatever is dependent upon them, until he is drawn after the Blessed One, like iron drawn to a magnet. So a fantastic comparison or analogy to our closeness to God. Our soul is naturally drawn to God, like he quotes, like iron drawn to a magnet. We should remember this. It's not that we have to push ourselves to be closer to God. We will naturally be drawn to God if we remove the barriers that we put up against that magnetism or that kind of natural drawing nearer. That's a very, very good analogy of how you can cleave to God. You have to allow yourself to be drawn by God towards you. Just have to remove the barriers. The effort is less than one realizes. And the Ramchal continues, and anything that is believed to promote this closeness must be pursued. One should grab it and never release this hold on it. and whatever stands in the way of these efforts should be treated like a fire that one flees from. As it says, and he quotes from Tehillim 63 verse 9, "My soul cleaves after you, your right hand supports me." Man's only purpose for coming into this world is for this, to attain this closeness, while rescuing his soul from all those things that obstruct this aim and detract from it. Now that we know and have clarified the truth of this principle of man's duty in this world, we must examine its details in accordance with their levels, from the beginning to the end, as they were formulated by Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair in his teaching. And he quotes, and this is from Avodah Zorah, chapter 20, page 22b, previously cited in our introduction. And they are vigilance, alacrity, cleanliness, abstinence, purity, piety, humility, fear of sin, and holiness. We will now explain them one by one with the aid of heaven. And that concludes the first chapter. So there at the end he proceeds to again describe, as quoted by Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair in Avodah Zorah, the 7 so-called kind of steps of the ladder, one leading to the other. How we must condition ourselves slowly, step by step. There's no point trying to jump up a ladder 3 rungs at a time. Everything in life is just to take it step by step. Is how you truly become something, is if you take small steps in the correct direction, and once you take those small steps, you'll find that in a few steps, or in a number of steps, you've achieved something remarkable. But when you try to become too clever and jump up, you can't run up a ladder. Or if you run up a ladder, you try to jump up 3 rungs at a time, you're likely to fall back down. So that's a wonderful first chapter. And next episode, we're going to move on to the second chapter, which starts with these rungs of the ladder. The first is the virtue of vigilance. So I look forward to that next episode.